this is my review of Canon's PowerShot S90, one of their newer point-and-shoot cameras. And I'm going to spoil the end of the review for you right now and tell you that I think this is the finest point-and-shoot camera that you can slip in your pocket. The quality of the images, especially at the higher ISOs, are excellent, just really spectacular. And the control scheme is genius. So let's talk a little bit about that. But before we get to the control scheme, let's turn it on. Our cold start to on time is very good. Shot-to-shot picture time and taking pictures is excellent as well. And the quality of the screen on the back is nice and bright and very crisp, very easy to work with. On the top right, we have our mode dial. Program, shutter priority, aperture priority, full manual control, custom settings. You can dig into the menu and set some settings that always occur when you're on the custom dial. Video mode, which brings me to one of the downsides on this camera, and that is no HD video. But I tell you what, the 640 by 480, which is the highest setting you can have in this camera, is very crisp, very clean, and again works well at low light too. Scene mode, which just there's a ton of scenes in this camera. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of close to 24, and all different kinds that you can use. Low light settings, which really bumps up the ISO and sets your file size to be a little bit less to do some post-processing noise reduction. Full auto, very easy. It's got face recognition, face focus, all of those settings in here as well. I'm going to put it back on program mode, which is one of my favorite modes. That, along with aperture priority, lets me shoot raw. And if you have a program like Aperture or Lightroom, pull those in. And on the back, I have the ISO setting. I'm going to adjust that ISO setting right now by spinning this dial. This is part of this control scheme that I think is just genius. So surrounding the barrel here is this very nice big ring with very meaty clicks, and that controls the ISO in standard mode. If I move to shutter speed priority, I am now controlling the shutter speed, and very easily I can make those adjustments. Switch to aperture, and now that ring is controlling the aperture. If you don't have any desire to change those, on the top is the ring function button. Press that, and now using the little jog dial on the back, you can set that to always set the ISO, change the exposure, manual focus, change your white balance on the fly, or even use it to do zoom. And now of course you have this standard zoom right here that you can use, and works very nicely. So a lot of different options, and again, leaving it in standard, depending on what mode you're on, it'll make changes to what it needs to make. And so that's going to spin your aperture, and this dial is now going to change your shutter speed. So this camera really is set up very nicely for those folks who really want to start learning how aperture and shutter speed can control your pictures and have complete creative control over that, but aren't quite ready to lug around a DSLR yet, or worry about changing lenses and things of that sort. And I tell you, I used to have a G5, which is the bigger brother to the S90, and I'll make some references to that in a minute. And that's really what got me started in fun photography, because the control scheme was so nice and the ability to make changes and things of that sort. Let's go into the menu for just a second and show you that it's just very nicely set up. Not only does this jog dial spin, but it also, you can just press it up and down, left and right, to go through each of those, and a quick function setting will get you into that. And you can review pictures you've taken as well. And currently I'm taking both in RAW and large JPEG because I really want that added benefit of the large file size. Very, very nice camera. I mentioned the G11, which is also nicer, a little bit bulkier, The two advantages of the G11 over the S90 is that you can attach an external flash, which can do just amazing things for your pictures, and has the articulated flip-out LCD screen. So if you're thinking about doing a lot of shooting from your hip or crowd shots where you want to hold the camera up above your head and still see what's going on, you might want to consider that. But it is about twice the thickness, and it actually has a slightly slower lens. This has f2.0 aperture lens, so it's even a little bit better in low light. Just as I said, really an excellent, excellent camera. Very nice. I'm in love with it, and I'm quite sad to be giving this review unit back. If you have any questions, find me on Twitter at CameraRec or digital.photorecommendations.com. I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you.